Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is week 3 of Upsurge Esports here on the Upsurge Premier League here. And we have an exciting match between Mirage Esports and Lucky Esports, both teams undefeated in their division of Ocean. And my name is Mark Rafa Alexander Arambide, and joining me on the cast, once again, it is my good old friend Dimitri Alk Battery Toledo. And already, I love seeing two undefeated teams because one of them is going to lose that streak today.
Yeah, exactly. We got to see. I mean, these are already some of the top contenders for the league, or for at least this group, right? And we got to take a look at like who's going to break that streak. And coming in, both of these teams have pretty interesting ways on how they want to win. And specifically, like, those mid laners we're seeing always plan ahead versus Robbie Bob. These guys are, uh, they're champion oceans, really. Some of them might say puddle, as we've seen some of the results not go to plan, but really, we were taking a look, and top lane I think is really interesting. We got Tony Toppin going up against not real Philip, or I think they're going to actually change that to Bow Eater. So interesting to see how that's going to change up. We've seen a lot of karma coming out from Lucky Esports.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about this Karma top because when we look at just normal solo queue pools, that is not something that pops up in anywhere at all within past records. But apparently, it's what's he's been running within his UPL matches. So we're gonna see if that's something that he's gonna continue the streak of today, or if he has something else special planned for Tony Top. But if we pivot away, I know there's other matchups you want to detail, but I personally linked to this mid lane matchup between Robbie Bob and Always Plan Ahead. You know, I've seen both of these guys for quite some time in solo queue and in other servers. They also both participated in the Rex Rivals tournament a few months ago, and both of them put on a great show. I think both of them finished as the number 1 and number 2 mid laners respectively. So coming to claim that title once again could be something in mind for both of these players.
Yeah, and in every game for Mirage, right? For Robbie Bob, this guy is pulling in multiple amounts of bans. We saw in week one, this guy's pulling at least 4 bans by himself. Week two, that game one versus Dawn Esports, pulled in basically 5 mid bans, except for maybe the Jacks. But this guy is really just absolutely insane. Whether it's the Vladimir that we see him take on, or even in week one, we saw him pick up that Zed. This guy is really always just very, very flexible. And even for always plan ahead, we saw in game one, in week one, sorry, for against Team Front, this guy's playing stuff like Cassiopeia, and then immediately can switch over to stuff like that Kled. So, I mean, Robbie Bob has always put on a show when it comes to different kinds of mids, making sure that the flexibility is there, and especially with what we've seen in competitive, it's all about flex picks yet again, but in a different way, right? We keep seeing the Tristana mid and all that stuff. I don't think we're going to see a lot of priority there, and I'd be interested to see if even stuff like Pantheon kind of slides through the ban phase.
Only time will tell as we get closer and closer to this draft phase. But, I definitely agree with you. The Pantheon is just one of those champions that you don't necessarily need to put that many games onto him because, of course, he's seems like he's always banned in solo queue. But his kit is so. How do we say it? It's almost like
It's
it's
ADTF. That's all it
yeah.
is.
It's
And even
into
the one thing I love about it is that like Pantheon came out and everyone was like really hyped for it. They're like, wow, this champion is really robust. The ultimate is very cool to look at. The amount of damage off of his Q is absolutely insane. And then ADTF started getting popular, or more so like attack speed, Twisted Fate. So it's really just interesting that as soon as he started getting popular, we see a different, the originator of all of it come back and start to kind of make his rise. And we didn't see a lot of Pantheon so far. I think it'd be really kind of quite interesting to see it go through, and really, I think this is a bot lane matchup as well that is kind of not really like super focused on Pug Corgi Shiba. Also, Tomo 9 is holds a couple of stats here, and I think we're getting right into pick ban soon enough. But uh, probably going to keep seeing more of that Zaya Kaisa. Wouldn't be surprised if we even see Syndra kind of make it through.
Kaisa definitely being on the list, as those seem to be the top two S tier 80 carries for. Even though we're not technically on the world's patch, we're on 9.20. There's still just champions that just cannot be beaten in their own right. Both being able to have premier laning phases as well as being able to scale into the late game and have ways of self peel and dealing with the opposition in those hectic late game team fights. But we should be in pick and ban phase at the moment.
Yeah. Right now, I just want to talk a little bit about these bans. So, Kevin or Kevex has really just already been taken off of some of those power picks. We saw last week that he had a lot of success on that Elise, so Mirage already taking that away. We see AP junglers really starting to fall through now. So Echo is one of them that we saw kind of see a little bit of success for Mirage. And I think this is really good to try and squeeze this because mid laners in the attack damage role, like Kiana, even maybe Zed here for Robbie Bob, I think can really start to come through. And so things like Gragas are now going to kind of shoot up in priority because of these bans. Rek'Sai as well. Feels bad. I feel really bad for always playing ahead. He always catches an Aurelion soul ban. And I think this is really interesting that Kale's also kind of reached it. We don't typically see Kale. We have started to see it at the Worlds, in the Worlds meta a little bit, but Kale is just such a slow champion. And with the changes to some of her kit, that AP it takes very long time to start coming online. And I think that'd be really interesting if Lucky were to maybe get it later on into the series. But Xayah is now banned, so maybe now we'll see some interesting AD carries. More than likely, Lucian is going to start to crop up. Syndra is also made it through the ban phase, which is a really good flex pick either way. And I think that'd be a really great addition for either of these teams to start picking it up early.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Oh, well,
Oh,
I'm
got this,
hijacking a different link so that I can see what is going on. But looks like the Gragas is being hovered over the side of Mirage Esports, and it's gonna be a
Oh.
quick pivot to Ezreal. And surprising that with the Kai'Sa still up, that this is gonna be the pick for the bottom lane of Mirage.
Yeah, and this is still a flex pick, right? Like we just saw Griffin kind of play this Ezreal mid, so potentially something that can come up. Although I very much doubt that it is. We could see, like you were saying, the Kai'Sa still is available and still has a pretty decent matchup into Ezreal, all things considered. You can still pick a pretty strong bot lane with maybe a Kai'Sa, Leona, or a Nautilus here. But Lucky, I think they do want to pick up. And there you go. The Karma made it through. So Tony Top is going to have a pretty great time sitting top lane, not having to deal with really any kind of lane opposition, as Bow Eater has had a pretty great time playing the Karma top lane. And if you are able to neutralize that lane against Tony Top, he needs a way to try to get out of this. So Pantheon, I expect, should rise in priority for Mirage, or some way to get out of that. Maybe even Kled to try and go up against it.
Well, I guess the Karma top is going to be locked in once again, unless they pivot it towards the bottom side of the map. But Kai'Sa is going to be the response here from Lucky Esports. They're going to have that S tier 80 carry. Now it's just up to the bottom lane to be able to pilot it to success. But with the bottom lane and potentially top lane are locked in, it does leave jungle options open for Mirage, and the first pick of the litter is just going to be the Sejuani. The Elise and the Rek'Sai have been taken off the table, and they were hovering the Gragas, but Hayami, who is now known as Nah, but really, is going to be taking the Freljord Queen herself, as Kled is also going to be the other response from Mirage.
Yeah, I was wondering from Mirage what mid laner they were going to go, preferably someone with melee, so you can kind of have that synergy with Sejuani. And we've already seen that mid lane Kled has picked up here in the UPL. So already taking this one away from always plan ahead, and as well as being able to open up that mid lanes where you have those 2v2s that are very, very deadly. Now for Lucky, you could go for that Jarvan, which we just saw get locked in, which is a very strong pick. And now for banning, you're really going to be looking at top and support. You could start taking away a couple of those. I think something like a Morgana would be something you maybe want to start taking away. It looks like a Kali, who really is one of the most banned champions against this team, is going to hit the table first.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Bob, if you've seen this man pilot the Akali, then you definitely don't want to go up against it. And despite all the many nerfs that Akali has received, losing out on the stun from her ultimate, the healing, of course, from the Q way back a few patches ago. I mean, Robbie Bob still makes this champion look super good, as well as many other professional players in the scene. But the Cassiopeia is going to be taken off the table by Mirage, so that does leave potentially another mid lane ban that they want to take away from Always Plan Ahead. Whereas Lucky, they still can think about if they want to target the top side of the map again or go for another mid lane ban, and it's going to be the Kiana taken away.
Yeah, I think this Kiana ban is really interesting, as well as the Cho'Gath here. Kiana, you already have the jungle matchup kind of selected for you here on the Mirage, and Kled more than likely isn't going topside unless Tony Top really wants to take that into the Karma. I think it is, one of the things that we were talking about that could open it up, or even try to go up against Karma and blow her out of the lane. So I think it's really interesting we see the Kiana here, and Talia is actually the secondary pick. So are we seeing a Jarvan solo lane? potentially. I think maybe it could be Talia mid. This is something that we don't typically see, but Talia mid is still very, very strong. And after some of the changes back to giving her some lane priority, I think that this is a champion that, with a couple of more changes, could definitely be a little bit higher on the tier list, but is
Mhm.
still not a bad pick. And we see now Mirage hovering that Syndra, something that we were talking about. Ezreal has already been taken, but Syndra as just a mid laner is just so, so strong right now in itemization.
Absolutely. Now, this could always be the bait and switcheroo, and if Robbie Bob really wants to flex on us with the Ezreal mid lane and send the Syndra bot lane, this would be his choice of matchup into the Talia. And then to explain this pick, you have to think about always plan ahead as a player. Already, the Kale and the Asol were banned away from him, and then of course, if we look at his top champions played in solo queue so far, Kled was the number two, and that being taken away, it just
Mm.
resorts him to saying, okay, well, what's another champion that allows me to push out my lane relatively fast and roam to a side lane and impact the map? And even though we haven't seen Talia mid for quite some time, that just might fit the wheelhouse for what Always Plan Ahead wants to do in this match.
All right, so just to make sure, Syndra is LeBlanc, and LeBlanc is, so it's LeBlanc Ornn
Okay, okay.
on that last rotation. I was really confused. I see this Ornn, I'm like, okay, are we seeing Ornn support here? More than likely it is. I think this is a pretty decent matchup into Kai'Sa. That slow from the Rupture is just so, so intense. And for someone like Kai'Sa, even with Supercharger, it's very difficult to get away from him. Thresh being the last pickup here for Lucky, I think adds so much utility. You have a Jarvan and Talia who are going to look to go in, and in case there is some way that they need to get out, you have that Dark Passage to try and get them out, as well as trying to get someone like Karma into a fight. You already have Kai'Sa, Jarvan, and Talia who are going to have ultimates or have abilities to try and jump through into the backline. And it looks like Thresh is Morgana. So something that we were talking about earlier, we were saying, hey, maybe we see a Morgana make it through, but Morgana kind of acts the same way. She gives so that Kai'Sa can just go straight into that backline with that black shield and has a lot of impunity both with that shield, with both the health shield and the magic resistance and tenacity that comes from it. So seems like a really big way to try and just get Kai'Sa, and specifically to just try and get Tomo 9 to have all these resources, right? You have great poke
Mhm.
from Talia, you have Jarvan who can lock everyone down, and then you just have a Kai'Sa who has Karma plus Morgana shields down on her.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Alk Battery. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of this Ornn pick as a support. I think Ornn as a champion is pretty fantastic. And if you've seen his one game at Worlds where Wonder played him on him, if you can get him through laning phase and you get him to that level 12 mark, then the late game stats, the stat checks, and the amount of gold efficiency you're getting from his Ornn upgrades is fantastic. The problem is when you're putting him in as a support is probably one of the one of two roles where you're going to get the least amount of experience unless you're just popping off your farming champions along with your AD carry or your jungler or whoever you're roaming with. So having these Ornn upgrades coming online is going to be significantly delayed just because he is in the support position. And I I just want to see how Mirage thinks that this is going to work out for them, unless they think the game is going to be stalled out to the very late game where that delay of level is not going to matter as much.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is just they want to have that level 6 ultimate, right? They don't necessarily want to have those items later on. If you can have them, it'll be nice, like we were saying. That level 12 is going to come a lot later, a lot less gold because of roaming and just of how support works. Typically, you're the first one in and first one out. So, like I agree. This is probably not going to be going for those items. Although that level 6 mark is a lot stronger than any other support, right? You have an Ornn who can just call the Forge God down into a lane, and you have instant gank support, right? So it does also offer some kind of synergy with the Sejuani. You have Kled and Ornn who can help try to lock down opponents. And, once you get those Freljordian combos, you have so much crowd control between the two of them. I think it'd be really hard for someone like Lucky or someone on the side of Lucky to try and get out of that, especially when you have kind of low mobility mages like the Talia and like Morgana.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not as down
Yeah.
with it being in support, but I will agree that the one of the nice thing about the Ornn passive is that it does prolong CC duration. So things like the permafrost from Sejuani, as well as the glacial prison, are going to last a few seconds longer because of Ornn's passive and the way it works with other crowd control effects. So it's going to make those ganks more likely to succeed in those instances. And so it's going to be up to Uganda royalty on this Morgana, making sure that he is prioritizing the Black Shield on his AD carry, and he's just going to have to bite a bullet for this bottom lane here once the Call of the Forge God is initiated.
Yeah, so I really like Lucky's draft here. I think it's very cohesive and it knows what it wants to do. Mirage, on the other hand, it's a little bit confusing. It definitely seems as soon as this comp gets going, it's going to run over you. But you have a LeBlanc who has a great matchup in Talia, correct? But Ezreal and LeBlanc are going to want to do two different things than Sejuani, Kled, and Ornn. They want to be able to go in, and LeBlanc and Ezreal want to stay in the back line, go for that poke, get that distortion, and get back out. Utilize some of that arcane shift and make sure that you're trying to stay away from the carries. But for Kled and Sejuani and Ornn, these are all champions that have literal ultimates that want you to go forward, want you to go in. And I think that there's a little bit of a mismatch in what these champions want to do in the execution.
Absolutely. And as we are getting ready for this game to be set up, we do want to take a time to thank a few of our one of our sponsors here, and is Kono Keyboards. And if you guys are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals, of course, from keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more. Our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge, and they've just made some generous contributions to the prize pools. And if you guys really need to find a new keyboard and more for your setup, we cannot recommend anyone better than Kono. So if you want more information on those keyboards, head on over to the Kono.store to check out all they have to offer. That's KONO.store. Kono, discover amazing products. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially on the Rift here for the first game between Mirage Esports and Lucky Esports. This is going to be a best of three, just a reminder. And now we're already seeing a standard, typical five-man defensive spread. Nothing unusual here in the works.
I mean, we've got an orange support,
Oh,
and
well, I
honestly,
mean,
some of the draft
we
was
discussed that already.
yeah. I mean, they've got annoying support. We were kind of questioning that, and really, some of the draft from Lucky was kind of interesting. We might even see an engage here going in. I don't think Ugandan's paying attention, maybe, but it seems like he got it. Really, just had to get the binding off and
Mhm,
got some poke off on the knob, but really, but nothing, of important note there. This is an Orin with Spellbook. Doesn't really utilize some of the other keystones amazingly, other than probably Aftershock. Maybe you take Guardian, but uh, the spell book on him is absolutely insane. He can just utilize stuff like Ghost. He can try to kind of switch it up instead of taking Ignite. If he doesn't have Flash, he can maybe even take Smite. We've seen this before back when Spellbook was really popular. So I'm
mhm.
interested to see how well this Ornn does. I think if this does work, this is something that they do have to take a look at coming into game two on the side of
Off
Lucky.
battery, I'm telling you, I'm ready for late game, 50
Oh,
minutes. Oh, wait, actually, we have a level 1 skirmish here. Always plan ahead, taking a fat chunk of damage from the electrocute proc by Robbie Bob, and already setting himself up for success with that lane dominance.
yeah, and I actually really like this from Talia, despite her taking half of her health in one go. She took some of the Raptor camps there to try and deny level 3 instantly for Naba, really, when he goes to rotate and fully clear his bot side. So I like this adaptation already level 1 coming in for the side of Lucky Esports. Definitely something different than what we've seen usually.
Yeah, and an always plan ahead, thankfully, did starts with that pot, so he's going to be able to sustain back up to full. But Robbie Bob, even though on the
Robbie
level 2
Bob
mark,
back
he's
at it.
just constantly harassing him. And meanwhile, Flash
Oh,
Binding comes out. Level 2 Power Spike
oh
is all in
no.
on the Cortiens. Is going to flash away, and he will live to tell the tale. But already, aggression across the map, both in the mid lane and now on the bottom side of the map.
No, that is such an unfortunate event right there because Tomo, the Price Seeker, actually ends up getting blocked by a single minion. And if that Plasma proc goes off, Ezreal's dead there. We have a first blood here. And he did have to blow Flash, but he has a couple of potions and he's already starting to chew through them. He doesn't even have to blow TP, so it looks like he is going to try and stay into this lane. And Tony Top, this is really dangerous here.
Oh, Tony Top is going to get ganked by Ken V2, lands the knockup despite the flash, but he does have the dismount mechanic, and he's going to be able to get out alive here.
Yeah, I don't know if they were going to really go for that kill, but getting the flash out of Tony Top, really, really good, especially for someone like Karma who can just immediately lock someone down. And now we see Naba really starting to path topside. This should just be a contest for the Scuttle if they didn't already. Yeah, it hasn't already spawned. That's my bad. But, uh, I mean, take a look at this. We see that Robbie Bob has a push into mid lane. Karma can move down into into that river. And now we're going to see potentially if Jarvan and Sejuani are going to start to fight over this Scuttle, or he really already went for that bot side and then full top clear now because he wants to get as much experience and gold off of Scuttle or sorry, of Krugs. Robbie Bob, that's a lot of damage you want to take over the
Ooh.
Unraveled Earth there, buddy.
Yeah. I don't know if Robbie Bob forgot that
Black
distorting over
Shield.
the Unraveled Oath would take him much damage. Meanwhile, find you. Just needs
Oh,
one more plasma sack to go down, but there's no way for Tomo to be able to safely click or get that last proc down. He was forced away by Cortiens and loses the flash.
yeah, Jarvan's coming down here too, and we have a TP coming out from Tomo once he hits that back. I don't think they're gonna find the kill there, but that is really close. Both of these AD carries are looking to trade health bar. They're trading blows right now in the bot lane. We have no heal, so really any kind of health is going to stick if it is taken away. And this is a really bad back here for Tomo. He's not able to get much. He gets the cull for himself. And on the opposite side, while it isn't amazing for damage, getting a tier early on is still pretty good. You can get that stacking, especially at 4.5 minutes already.
And notice how he's actually taking the option to walk all the way back to lane versus just teleporting. So
Yeah.
this still gives him an option to be able to get that sheen back and then teleport right back to lane and maintain wave control. So this is really, despite the early level 2 all in from the side of Lucky Esports, Cortiens is coming out of this lane unpunished so far.
Yeah, pretty amazing already coming out from them. I do want to see where we see our first real effective gank, right? We've seen Kevin already going topside and blow the flash, but is he going to come back up there? We already see he's pathing towards bot side. He only has his wolves, so he's probably going to look for a rebound on Gromp and potentially even look for mid, although ganking a LeBlanc is not amazing. And take a look at the itemization already. Robbie Bob has not gone for a back yet. He is sitting on the Dark Seal here, but always plan ahead, having to early pick up the Null Magic Mantle. This is a really tough lane for you, and you already have pretty high damage spread when you're on someone like Talia. I'm interested to see how this Talia, what happens to Talia post 6, right? We're about to hit that point where both mid laners are going to hit 6, and bot lane is not looking too amazing to gank, right? You have an Ezreal and an Ornn. Ornn's just going to break through that wall with a charge, so potentially look for top side. You still have that flash down, and this could be the way that you kind of open up the game for you if you are lucky.
Yeah, and there's always the possibility of just having the priority from always plan ahead to start invading into the jungle with Ken V2. He does have the Conqueror, so he has a little bit of combat priority over Naba really on this Sejuani, although it's not going to be more for much longer because if you've ever battled a Sejuani with Aftershock and her
Look at the
passive up,
dragon.
you'll understand she does quite a bit of damage, surprisingly, for a tank. But yeah, as you mentioned, Alec Batter, they have priority over the dragon, and they're going to be able to secure the first dragon of the game.
Yeah. I love that coming out from Lucky. Yet again, kind of impressive right there, right? We see that they do have the Kaisa who's going to have a lot of damage with that plasma early on, and they got the priority. They took always plan ahead on this Talia, moved him out of that lane immediately after shoving, and we already saw that they were potentially looking to try and stack something bot side, but
Oh,
instead said, nope, we're just going to go for this dragon.
once
It's a
again,
lot
they
of
just need
damage.
one more proc to be able to get the plasmas fully stacked onto I Will Find You, but Tomo's just not able to get in range once again and punish, as that was a pretty unfortunate charge there from I Will Find You.
Gotta love the Kleptomancy on Bow Eater. This guy, he already has the elixir, the mini elixir of sorcery. He is level 6 on Tony Top here, and we could potentially look for a roam, but we already see that mid lane's missing. He's gone for a back here. He does have an amp tome now. Uh, but a lot of these ganks are not looking to be ganked, right? You have an Ezreal, you have a LeBlanc on the side of Mirage, so gonna be very, very safe for you. Top side would really be your only option here, and we see Bow Eater getting engaged upon. That's a lot of damage going on to this Karma, even with shield.
Yeah, but he's dismounted Tony Top. He went a little too far deep, taking a tower shot or two. I'm not sure how many exactly went onto him before he dismounted, but Tony Top, if he's willing to able to take that trade from Bow Eater, meanwhile, he's raking in the gold despite being a few CS down. He's pretty much dead even, if not slightly ahead, thanks to the Kleptoprocs.
Yeah. We do see that Sejuani is here. So again, we've already seen a pretty passive early game, and it's going to just have to be coming down to the junglers. We've already seen that on the side of Lucky. They were able to get that early Mountain Drake, and we want to be able to see that since mid lane is just getting shoved out so hard that potentially now top side is going to be where they're looking for. This Rift Herald is going to come up in about 2 to 3 minutes, and that's really where this is going to start to kind of, at least there's going to be some kind of action, right? Hopefully these teams are going to try and fight for this objective, as you do have a Sejuani and Kled who have pretty great ways to try and fight this. The chain
Mhm.
lands onto this.
Robbie Bob is going to get the double chains down, but he doesn't have quite enough
Oh,
damage to be able to take down Always Plan Ahead, thanks partially to that Null Magic Mantle that Always Plan Ahead invested in. But Robbie Bob has to be careful. There is Ken V2 waiting in the wings, ready to strike as soon as Robbie Bob commits. He still has both of his thumbs, however, so he can always try and get one back, but he might pay his life for it.
yeah. Should be able to get out of here. We see the Sejuani's walking up now.
Oh, and Sejuani's passive is going to go down. Cataclysm will come out, and there's the roam from Uganda Royalty, so it's a
Yeah.
3-on-2. Flash will come out from Naba. Really, will he escape? Oh, the Dark Binding lands. Just needs one more auto
Oh,
attack, and Uganda Royalty flashes in for the first blood.
great job right there. Amazing roam. We already saw that bot side. It's getting pushed in. We saw the Ezreal immediately TP back bot side for, like you called, the Sheen back. And now we just see it. We were able to see the flash and ignite does come out. He is able to get that first blood onto Naba, really. And that was just really unfortunate. It was completely cleared out when it came to the vision. Robbie Bob's
Robbie
gonna might
Bob?
go down here.
Oh, flashes the seismic shove, barely almost dying to always plan ahead.
Yeah, that's really close. And already we're seeing some advantages start to come out for the side of Lucky Esports, right? They've already moved their bot side into top lane, trying to get that priority once you have that dragon taken down. And Ezreal does not have TP, so now he has to go all the way back up to top side. And he's only able to pick up another sapphire crystal. So even with Sheen, this guy doesn't do a lot of damage.
Things are looking concerning here for the mid jungle duo for the side of Mirage Esports. We were kind of we were kind
Close.
of looking at them to try and make things happen, but Naba really been getting caught out by that timeful roam from Ugandan royalty has set him a little far back for now. And when we look at the late game scaling for the side of Lucky Esports, you do have this Kaisa who is always going to be in your back pocket and backed up by the utility from the Morgana and the Karma investments. uh, you have to start making things happen, especially for Robbie Bob, who on this LeBlanc, even though she can always blow up people in the late game, you would prefer to start doing it sooner than later.
Yeah, and take a look at this. Because of the we saw the TP disparity start to rise, no one is able to answer the Karma. She's able to get a plate by herself. Kled has to come down here. He doesn't have TP, so now the complete top side is now really, really warped in favor of Lucky Esports here. They're able to now grab priority, hopefully over this dragon. Take a look at how much vision is invested here from Lucky. Just try and prevent any coming out from the side of Mirage. See a trade from Cortiens, but really Naba really and the rest of the squad here from Mirage, we're sitting on top of that Rift Herald saying, hey, do we want to do it? We're in scuttle vision right now, so maybe a little bit risky. They do end up landing, and that is a lot of damage slowly
Hmm.
taking on to Cortiens Ezreal. But take a look at where the pathing is. Ken V is up here now. He's ready for a gank. Ornn is as well, but Ornn has flash and TP, so going to be missing out on a summoner.
They're going to be forcing this. Robbie Bob will have the first prio, but always plan ahead can always join in with the Weaver's Wall. So much damage is coming down on Noah, but they turn it on its head. They're going to be able to take down Kippy too, but here comes always plan ahead. Lands the seismic shove, actually
Nice
misses it
flash.
thanks to the flash from Cortiens, but the I will find you will go down eventually to Tomo 9. Now always plan ahead, still trying to put out the damage with those rocks, trying to throw another one after another. That's going to force a couple summoners from the side of Mirage, and they do lose their support, but they do take down the jungler.
Yeah, that's a 2-for-1 right there, and you're going to definitely take that if you're lucky, right? You do end up losing both junglers on either side, but a lot of kills are going on, specifically onto this Talia and Tomo here. And those are the two people you really want that gold on. And I think it's really interesting that we're already seeing this Talia have a really great setup into this LeBlanc. LeBlanc is not able to go directly onto her and went to instead to try and burst out Ugandan royalty. Now Tomo's going to have to try and defend. This is a huge wave, but looks like no one's really here to set up, and I will find you's back onto this ignite. He's halfway onto his ultimate cooldown, which is really, really short with a lot of that CDR coming in. And I want to see from the side of Mirage, how are they going to set up mid lane? Because you already have the Weaver's Wall, which is going to cut you off, but we haven't seen a lot of like objective plays from them coming out. They haven't been moving first for objectives. It's always been either late or just dying.
And if you just take a look at the gold graphs right now, just across the board, almost most of the gold is pretty much just dead even, except for really the top lane. And it's just so bizarre to see, despite the CS difference, how much Klepto Mancy is making dividends here for the side of Bow Eater. And then of course the jungle difference, thanks to the two deaths that Nabad really has suffered so far in the game. Ken V2 is slightly ahead, but I'm not sure if the jungle difference when they're both running Cinder Hulk is going to really mean all that much in terms of gold
Well,
discrepancy.
it's gonna become important for their first real item, right? If they're both gonna go for Cinder Hulk here, we see the TP from Tomo 9. It's gonna be very important to see what their first item is, right? They're gonna be if you are on the side of Jarvan, you've got your Red Smite, you've also got your Conqueror. More than likely, he's gonna be trying to pick up that Gargoyle Stone Plate, and the same thing for Sejuani here, if not the Warmogs first. So really important for them to get to their first item, and that jungle difference in terms of gold is gonna become important. When it comes to Bow Eater, this Karma really just abused melee matchups because she has so many ways to try and proc Kleptomancy and try to get away with it, right? She has her Mantra Shield, and as well as that Inspire. Looks like they're going to try and go for an engage. They're already trying to stop this Rift Herald.
Oh, they forced the flash out of
Oh,
Tomo, and he's going to go down to Cortiens. And I think the Rift Herald was stolen by the side of Mirage Esports. They're going to be able to take that leash for free.
oh.
I will find you might burn down to the Ignite. One more tick will be able to do it, but he's going to live with a sliver of health. The Mirage Esports are going to come out on top.
Finally, they're able to try and find some kind of way to equalize this game. We're now back in terms of even gold leads here, but that was exactly what Mirage needed. They're able to try and break out or try to punish, sorry, a pretty greedy start there. You have to blow flash. You have to also have the ultimate here from Tomo. And they should be looking to try and drop this somewhere. It looks like Cortiens was the one to get that. And it doesn't seem like they're going to drop it here, but try to open up that mid lane. And they're already bringing a ton of people up here. Flash.
Flash, Dark Shackle, Soul Shackle's going to come in, but it
Oh,
doesn't pay off for him in the end. They do take down one on the Nabot, really, but Robbie Bob is able to clean up the mess on the Ugandan royalty. It's just always plan ahead, trying to defend the top side of the map. Kim V2 is coming in from the wings, ready to assist, and that is going to push off the rest of members of Mirage away from this tower.
yeah, I want to see Ezreal get out of top lane already. This lane is way too short for you, and you need to be able to kind of, or sorry, way too long for you guys, and you need to start breaking it open and start utilizing that Rift Herald. As soon as that play happens, drop Ezreal into mid lane, and then all of a sudden you have a lot of pressure. That top lane is ready to fall. Let that gold go onto someone like Robbie Bob or Tony Top and try to utilize that kind of strength that you have.
And one thing I do find interesting here at Alk Battery is that always plan ahead instead of opting in for Luden's Echo, which always gives you a little bit more burst and maybe perhaps wave control. You do have this Hextech GLP, so it's going to show that
Oh
always
no.
plan ahead is really focusing on the catch and the pick potential by using the roaming potential from Talia.
Yeah. I would have preferred if Kenvi just kind of sits there and he's able to not even tank up one auto attack from the turret, but they should have priority. I like that use of the Weaver's Wall to try and cut off Sejuani and make sure that the wave is even cut off, but they are able to get the first turret here on the side of Lucky, grab that top side. And what I wanted to see is them take it on that first wave there instead of trying to do this, because now you have a late rotation, right? You already have Ezreal sitting in mid, and you have two people now sitting mid and trying to gather gold and prevent a gank or prevent a tower dive here. So a lot of kind of wasted golden experience. We do see that the back is coming out from Talia. So on the side of Mirage, so far, you are kind of falling behind, and really now you need to start picking up some kind of kills and some kind of advantages now, because you do still have that Rift Herald. Where was Rift Herald drop actually? Did it just disappear? Because Cortiens doesn't have it anymore. And
Hmm.
they may have dropped the top side.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
going to
they
assume
didn't
they
get.
did that, but they didn't grab the turret.
Yeah.
So, okay. I
It
guess.
obviously didn't do much since all the
Yeah.
outskirts are still standing. So
That's it. I'm a little, that's a little sad to know. It's like, okay, well, we ended up stealing it. We got a couple kills from it, and then we still end up losing a turret top side. We're not able to gain too much out of it. Kind of unfortunate. But take a look at this. What you don't want to see when you're playing against an Ezreal is that you're even in CS, because obviously he's been utilizing that Kleptomancy procs. And while it isn't a lot, 200 gold for someone like Ezreal who has a lot of small component items, Robbie Bob is getting taken really low.
always a plan ahead, trying to show him up. It's like, hey, I'm the better mid laner here, buddy. Get on out. And he's playing Talia too, which is
Oh,
meanwhile, Uganda royalty. And a lot of poke damage from Cortiens as he is now on that 2 item power spike. The Muramana is fully stacked and upgraded. The Iceborne Gauntlet as well is being worked on here from Cortiens, and they're pushing in this mid lane. And right now, Toma's going to have to react fast to be able to clean up.
yeah, Dragon is spawning like you're saying in mid lane. Take a look at how the waves are pushed right now. Lucky has that push top into top side. Tony does have his TP, but mid lane is being caught right now. Bot side just got pushed in by Bow Eater, and I love this way that they try to set up the Dragon. It is an ocean, but they are looking to try and set up for objectives on the other side of the map here. Now, it kind of feels weird talking about Mirage because we take a look at their items, right? We take a look at some of their KDAs. We have a 2-0-2 on both your Ezreal and LeBlanc, and you're thinking, hey, that's pretty strong, right? But it doesn't feel that way because we take a look at items and we take a look on the opposite side, right? Talia already has her Super Soaker, and we've got a Dragon that just gets taken incredibly fast with Mountain Drake plus Kaisa. We have a Kaisa who's already stacking her tier and has Rage Blade, and a lot of damage is being put on, or sorry, a lot of pressure is being put onto Mirage now to try to spike some of these items.
Yeah, for Tomo, he's only at around 410 in terms of stacking. So Tomo's got still a little bit ways to go, whereas Cortiens has already reached that point. So in terms of mid-game power right now, Mirage Esports, this is the time to start making plays happen. Unfortunately, one of the things that is very, I want to
Uh-oh.
say,
I
not
guess
that.
we're going
Whoa,
in.
wait a minute. Well, we have the Weaver's Wall coming out, and the Calm
Oh,
Forge God is
no.
being used. They're going to smash right through the wall and charge right on into the heart of the battle. But that is a
Oh.
nice seismic shove into the Unraveled Hearth combo. They take down the entire bottom lane of Mirage Esports, and now Tony Top, he's burning to a crisp. He's going to try to get the courage back, but he won't be able to get it up in time. Nava really still on the run, running away from Bow Eaters. He's trying to lock him down for the chase. Ken V2 and Tomo on hot pursuit. Just need a couple more auto attacks to be able to take down the Poro Rider, but it's not going to be enough from Ken V2 as he hits the Dragonlance. It's not enough damage, but there's the flag swagging on his dead body. 4 for nothing.
Yeah, and that was an amazing fight. And specifically, always plan ahead with an absolutely insane Weaver's Wall. It cuts off the Kled, and it takes two members immediately out of the fight because you have a Kled ult that's bugging out in the back, trying to get over that wall. And then you have Ornn, who has to then utilize that rupture, or sorry, that the searing charge to try and break that wall and allow for Kled. So Sejuani and Robbie Bob and Cortiens all go up to try and fight, and then suddenly their two tankiest members, or some of their members that do a lot of the damage, are no longer in that fight. They get immediately obliterated, almost kill Tomo 9, but you have a team that has a lot of ways to try and stop you once you come into them. It kind of feels similar to somewhat like a Gangplank, right? Gangplank wants you to come into him, and then you have Kaisa, you have Talia, and you have Karma Morgana, all these champions that want you to come towards them and set up into their fields. You have the huge Tormented Soil, as well as the chains, as well as all that Unraveled Earth that just got procced right onto the side of Mirage. And we see a 4-for-0 right there. No one going down from Lucky Esports. They're able to find a hell of a lot of kills and hopefully turn this into pressure, right? You have a couple more champions that are picking up in gold, but now the Baron is the next objective.
And notice here that all is plan ahead instead of opting in for an Oblivion or for more penetration. Meanwhile, actually on the bottom side of the map, Bowie is going to pop the stopwatch. I don't know if he's going to get out of the situation alive. Permafrost for the stun stacks, and Tony Top just needs a couple more auto attacks to be able to get it in. But they have to use the Glacial Prison. Naba really is going to be forced to use the ultimate as well. But meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Baron has been started up. Can they stop them from being able to take it? But Tomo will secure it. Baron has been now in the fans of Lucky Esports, but now they're on the run as Tomo has fallen to the side of Mirage Esports. Kenby2 has also made it out alive, but 4 other members go down on the side of Lucky Esports, and so Kenby is the only one with the Baron buff.
Yeah, you're thinking, okay, hey, 2 members are showing bot side. This is perfect for us. Immediately go for the Baron. The problem is you have all of these squishy members sitting in the back of Baron Pit, taking incredibly increasing amounts of damage from it, and they're just not able to do it fast enough. Even with Baron buff, or sorry, even with Mountain and a Kaisa, it is not quite fast enough. You don't have that full tier stack from the Mana Mune into the Mirror Mana, so they're able to clear out 4 members, and yes, they are able to pick the Baron up. Like you said, only one person has it. And really, this is just a great way to skyrocket some of that gold back into these pockets. Robbie Bob, and specifically, I will find you, this Ornn pick is becoming very influential when we see that ult come down.
Yeah, just a couple more levels before he starts able to upgrade.
It's 1, actually.
It's already online? I thought it was a level 12.
It is level 12. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I've read that as 10. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't read. My eyes are not working today, Mr. Og Battery.
Some would say I can't cast, so.
Well, mid lane turret, second tier turret for mid lane has been taken down here, or I should say the outer turret. And now the map has been opened up slightly for the side of Lucky Esports. And now they're just trying to fight back. Tomo is still scaling up, hasn't fully stacked the Moro mana quite yet, but should be close, as now he's working on his Nashor's Tooth. And once he hits that 3rd item, he should be significantly stronger than the Ezreal. Meanwhile, Tony Top getting locked down. Killer Instinct comes in, flashing over the wall. He's going to be able to make it out safely, and they might be looking for the re-engage, but no one is in position to capitalize on the call of the Forge God ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at that. The only real ultimates that were used were the Killer Instinct, and in a trade, you end up taking the Call of the Forge God as well as the Flash. So a lot of engage tools now taken away from the side of Mirage. And honestly, that's a worthwhile trade. Trying to get Tony on a kind of a weird back right there. They should have mid lane priority because of how focused they're on a bot side. I don't understand why they're trading for this. You're trading a lot of mid priority for a tier 2 bot side, even with Baron. You're going to get maybe a Windrake on top of this. Nice use of the ult.
Yeah, Flash Ultimate comes in once again from Ugandan Royalty, locking Tony Top down. I've seen this story before, and this time he doesn't get out alive. And Mirage, they're slowly making the way to answer the turret taken down, but it's already gone. And so for that, Mirage Esports have a lot to answer as the game continues scaling on and on. I will find you. He's going to have the Ornn upgrades for his teammates, but all battery, I'm just honestly concerned at how far ahead Tomo is going to be getting in terms of AD carry difference.
Yeah, he is going to go for that AP, which I don't understand why you're going to go AP. We take a look at the damage spread, and you have almost full magic damage, and you're going to end up going for the Nashor's Tooth to, get an increased damage on your Prey Seeker. I'm not a huge fan of this right now. I think the itemization is pretty weak, and you really need to be able to get something. I think a Runon's Hurricane would be amazing into this team, as these are a lot of melee members, and even someone like LeBlanc wants to get in your face like that. I feel like Robbie Bob right now, in terms of itemization, is trying to just play kind of like a Vladimir build, where you just build every single item component-wise. You do have that early spell penetration with the orb there. the Oblivion Orb, sorry. But also having a needlessly large rod kind of diversifies your build in terms of how much AP you're getting and kind of like what you're building. A little bit too much for my liking. I'd be interested to see what he's going to be able to back with. He's about a 1,000. He's going to have to wait a lot more if he wants to get Morellonomicon, which I think even into this team is pretty bad. You don't have ways to cut down on shielding. You're just cutting down on healing, which is not amazing against this team. I think I would have preferred something like a Leandri's or even just more AP, right? Um, and take a look at the jungle, right? We were talking earlier about jungle difference, some of this gold. Sejuani has not completed a real item, right? She has her Cinderhulk, and Ken is already sitting on that Cinderhulk, or sorry, on the stone plate, and is looking to pick up his third item here.
Side of Lucky Esports just using their priority and pressure to be able to maintain vision control on the bottom side of the map. Just working on slowly choking out the likes of, oh, it's a lot of damage from Robbie Bob, but the Dark Binding is great from Ugandan Royalty, and right into the Seismic Shove. Shutdown will come in favor for Always Plan Ahead.
Yeah, the amount of shielding that he gets right there is just insane for Tomo. He's able to escape that. They do end up getting it. They get the Ignite from Robbie Bob. Here comes Call of the Forge God.
Oh my god, the Dark Binding after Dark Binding into the Seismic Shove. That's going to be another carry down for the side of Mirage Esports, and this could be Lucky Esports' fight to win as they take down the support as well. Looking for more on the Tony Top and Naba, really. They're just forcing them off the turret. They should be able to take this on the next push. I'm not sure if they're going to get any more out of it.
Yeah, Ugandan Royalty with these black shields. And like you were saying, the Dark Bindings are just absolutely pixel perfect at this point. We see two ultimates immediately go to waste. That Call of the Forge God comes down, and the black shield onto Kenvi is able to just completely annihilate this the entire bot side, or sorry, the back line, sorry, for Mirage. And 3 members go down. They're able to blow up the inhibitors. Now they should go for a reset. Baron's going to be spawning within the next minute and a half, 2 minutes. And now they need to go for a reset and start pushing down on this top side because there's a huge wave crashing up there. And if you can get that pushing while Baron is being ready to be spawned and start to move some of that vision, you have a really great way to set up for it. And you need to be able also to fight this because Call of the Forge God's already almost back up. This thing has a really, really low cooldown once you have like 20% cooldown reduction on Orin.
Yeah, just over a minute here for the side of Mirage Esports, and once it comes up again, I mean, we've seen it. It's a great team fighting AoE tool, but you need your carries to be alive for the fight before the fight starts here. And in that last one, Robbie Bob being taken out off of the pick, and Cortien's also being locked down. So Mirage Esports, they definitely have the power to win these team fights, but the positioning needs to be better here. Otherwise, Lucky Esports are going to have their way once again.
Yeah, so Tomo actually really interestingly has some of the highest team or player KDAs here in the Premier Leagues, and I think it's a really safe and cautious buy to go for something like the Zonias. He wants to make sure that hey, if Robbie Bob does end up getting onto me, that I have as much protection as possible. He still has flash, his killer instinct is back up, and like we were saying earlier, or like we've been talking about, the Karma and the Morgana shielding is enough. So really a really cautious itemization here, and I think might hurt them if they are needing in terms of damage. But so far, we haven't seen that. Bot side is getting pushed out, and I like this from Tony Top. Set up a lot of pressure on bot side so that someone needs to answer this, and it forces them to try to maybe rethink if they do want to go for Baron. It is going to be pretty interesting to see how maybe Always Plan Ahead uses the Talia wall, as that is going to be one of the ways to try and stop this enemy or this Mirage team from trying to find an entrance. And even with Call of the Forge God, we already see the items getting upgraded here. The Redemption getting upgraded first, probably not my favorite, but he just hit that level 12. Level 13, I'm assuming he's going to try and upgrade that Luden's Echo for Robbie Bob and just give him a little bit more AP, because I think as soon as this LeBlanc gets online, it is going to be very, very hard for someone like Ugandan Roti or Tomo to survive in that fight, in those fights.
Yeah, it's going to be even more imperative for Robbie Bob to get those assassinations off, because at this moment, he is the only person that can reliably take out the backline from these fights here on the side of Lucky Esports. At Cortien's, just the way his champion is designed, I mean, he's poking at the front line. He's just trying to fire mystic shots and weave them in whenever he can from a safe distance, and he's helping the rest of his front line just trying to kite back, but Robbie Bob has to be the one that goes forward and deep into the hearts of Lucky Esports' damaged core. As once again, another dragon being taken. Elder Dragon win condition is going to be super scary for the side of Lucky Esports if it gets to that point in the game.
I don't think we're getting there. But I think this is a really terrible mistake coming out from Mirage. You give up another Ocean Drake, which against your team comp is what they need to be able to survive. And they might have just actually caught lucky with their pants down here. They're going for the Baron. They don't have amazing clear speed, but the members of Lucky are starting to try to show up, and that's a lot of damage on a Cortians.
Well, they're going to go for the turn. Lands the knock-up on the two people, but the Cataclysm is locking everyone down, and no one is able to touch Tomo on the side. Tony Top is going to get dashed in with the Killer Instinct.
Goodbye.
Tomo will fall, however, to Robbie Bob. Now can it be up to him and the rest of his team to be able to clean up the pieces? Without Tomo, they might be able to turn it around, but you always have to think about always plan ahead, who is still putting out damage on the other side of the field. And always plan ahead, he's looking for more damage. He's throwing out rocks. Tony Top has been dismounted, and he's on the run looking for Scarl, ready to get a ride back home, but he's not going to get one. He's going to fall down to Lucky.
Yeah, and only a 2-for-1 right there. Tomo's the one that goes down. There's no Baron taken. Robbie Bob, don't fall now, buddy.
Robbie Bob is not going to be able to get out alive. Gets baited right back on the Ugandan royalty, and it's just not but really. And I will find you left to defend against 4 members here. Nexus turrets will fall, and this might be the victory call for the side of Lucky Esports. Just hit the Nexus. Don't give a damn about the tanks. They're going to take game 1.
Yeah, and in a really, really great way, right? We saw them just completely neutralize the side of Mirage. There was no advantages found in some of the lanes that we were expecting. Tony Top and Robbie Bob not able to find advantages, or at least ones that are more meaningful when it comes to the end of the game here. And really, Cortiens, when you're playing up against something like the Kaisa, it becomes very difficult for Ezreal to try and deal with that, because all of a sudden you have a Kaisa who's just immediately repositioned on top of you, and your Mystic Shot might have missed, or your Arcane Shift is now down. It becomes incredibly difficult to try and navigate these team fights.
All batter, I really don't know what else to say other than just time ran out for the side of Mirage, and the early impact from the ganks onto Naba really and Robbie Bob getting those 2 kills and the burning of the flash. It just set behind their potential mid-game power spike that they were looking for. And then by the time it just got to the 25-minute mark, Tomo was online. His 2 supports in Bow Eater and Ugandan royalty were also online. And even though he kind of suicided near the end, and then that last fight, always plan ahead was there on backup carry duty, and he took out his janitor broom and he swept up the rest of the mess.
Yeah, I want to take a look at some of those damage charts, because always plan ahead is looking like he always wants to kind of finish his game out. This guy is sitting on 22,000, double the amount of damage as Robbie Bob. So if you were talking about mid difference, this guy is definitely showing up. Something to note here is, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of, like we were saying, Mirage's team comp was really kind of all over the place, right? You have 2 engagers, and then you have 3 engagers, sorry, and then you have 2 of these people in the back line that don't want to do damage in a direct constantness, right? And just it felt like really all over the place. Robbie Bob was not able to get in, and then one of the bigger problems for this team was we didn't see Naba really go topside. Yes, you're going against Karma, and it is notoriously difficult to gank her and try to get away with it. But you have this melee top laner who has jousting on Kled. You can get a lot of auto attacks almost instantly with the violent tendencies. And we didn't see any kind of abuse into topside. He tried to get Tony Top ahead. 0-3 and 4, he ends this game. And while he wasn't necessarily an issue in this game, I think Naba really and Tony Top really need to start working together a lot better in game 2 to try and find something, because they set themselves up for victory and just completely ignore that topside.
Well, there's definitely a lot of things that Mirage Esports are going to have to review from this first game of the series. And if they want to bring it back and win overall, then, they definitely have to take a look at some of the priorities that they made this game and see if it needs to be changed, or at least take away some of the power picks that we saw from Lucky Esports. But we will be getting ready for game 2 in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. But don't tune away from that browser. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for game two of this series between Mirage Esports and Lucky Esports. And if you missed out on the action, Lucky Esports did take a pretty sound victory over their opposition here, mainly thanks to the damage of Always Plan Ahead on that Talia, just topping the charts.
Yeah, and really we were just gonna take a look at this mid lane. We were like, okay, well, Robbie Bob, has a lot going for him. We were really excited, and always plan ahead really just neutralizes the lane and also was finding some advantages in the 1v1 against him and really was just all over the map, popping out and just we were seeing the real priority from the Talia was that wave clear and just being able to say, all right, well, I don't want to stay in a lane versus LeBlanc. I'm gonna head out.
Literally head out and just
Yeah.
influence the rest of the map. And surprisingly, we didn't really see much of an early influence on the map from Always Plan Ahead. It wasn't until around that mid game, around the 15-minute mark, where he joined in a fight, and he wasn't really there to help his teammates. He was just there to pick up some kills, rack up a bunch of damage, and he found it. And I have to say, this build that he went for, the Hextech GLP into the Leandry's Torment, just optimized his full damage potential as the Madness burn for the 10% damage amp, as well as the max HP burn on a bunch of these figures who, for the side of Mirage Esports, were pretty beefy in terms of health pools. And so this build from Always Plan Ahead just completely shredded the opposition.
I think Lucky Esports also got, for lack of a better term, pretty fortunate with how their draft ended up going. Their first three are Karma, Kaisa, Jarvan, and then you go Talia Thresh, or sorry, Talia Morgana. I think this is a really weird, kind of wonky way to try to start your draft order. You maybe want to have Karma and Talia come out first, and then you can flex for jungle. Keep it at least a little bit available, and maybe some of those bans do get a little bit more wonkier as Mirage did end up going for Cassiopeia and Cho'Gath on the opposite side. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same first three on either side. Maybe Rek'Sai gets dropped instead for something else if you're on the side of Lucky. Maybe you want to get rid of some of those bot lane kind of priority, but we are going to head into pick and bans here, I think.
Lucky will start off the ban phases. They're on the blue side now. So far, no changes in bans, as the Echo ban will continue reigning supreme here, as even though we didn't see really Echo pop off that much at Worlds, as the unfortunate play-in stage showed us, it wasn't piloted to much success, but it's still a terror here in solo queue and in the lower ranks. And now we do see the Karma ban, the first thing that is going to be changed up from Mirage.
Yeah, when we were coming in, we were thinking, all right, Karma's either going to be pick banned or just completely ignored by these teams, because we already saw last game that Tony Top was completely neutralized by this pick. So now Aurelion Sol and Kale are available. I'm going to assume that Aurelion Sol is going to be the first one on the chopping block for Mirage. Syndra on the opposite side here by Lucky for bans. Oh, it looks like actually we still have time, but the Kale is being hovered for the ban and is going to actually be the one locked in. So Lucky can go for it, but Xayah is available. So now Mirage is forced to go for that Rakan if they want to give that up, or they can try and pick up something for their jungle again. I think the Jarvan was still really good. If Mirage want to take that, they can go and try to pick up that Sejuani Kled again, because I think that was a pretty good matchup, but you need to actually play towards that advantage. Otherwise, these two picks mean absolutely nothing.
All I'm going to say is Lucky, if they don't lock in Aurelion Sol for Always Plan Ahead, then we're really missing out on here. Because if you guys don't know Always Plan Ahead, that A-Sol is probably his most known champion. And for the first time in the draft phase, it is available thanks to the Karma switcheroo. But Mirage are going to go for a potentially more stable bot lane, as they've not only taken away the Morgana away from Ugandan Royalty, who had a fantastic performance on that champion, but also the Caitlyn, just going for pure lane dominance and looking for that devastating combo of the Dark Binding into the Cupcake traps.
Yeah, that would be really, really intense. I think you still want to pick up the Xayah Rakan. If not, looks like they're actually going to go for the Lux here. So make sure that they have a little bit of poke. They're able to try and fight Caitlyn and Morgana. This last pick, probably going to be looking for a jungle flex if they want to. We still have a lot of top laners. I think Kennen would be a really good place for them. And it looks like they're actually just going to go for the Kled yet again. Or sorry, Lucky this time is going to pick it up.
I'm a little disappointed that the A-Sol is not being shown here, but I can understand that Mirage do have red side, which means they do have counter pick priority, and Robbie Bob might be able to have a champion up his sleeve to be able to punish a champion like Aurelion Sol, who, even though piloted very well by Always Plan Ahead, can be suscept to any assassins trying to burst all in who can get right on top of the Space Dragon.
Yeah, I think Cassiopeia is probably the next band they want to take out if they're not going to get rid of this. Looks like they're going to focus a little bit on the jungle. Lee Sin, I think Sejuani would be a great one. But if they are going to try and move over, I think Cassiopeia is definitely the next one you want to take away. Gangplank is something that we have seen for Mirage to try and pick up for Tony Top. Now this top matchup I think is going to be really interesting. We could also potentially see Jason to Kled, as if Tony really wants to go into that. Jax has also not been taken off, and that is one of Tony's really comfortable picks.
Another juggle ban potentially from the side of Mirage, as they're really trying to limit down on Lucky Ken V2's champion pool here, and seeing what and how deep is that pool to be able to extend his hand in. And you might have called it here all battery that Jax ban might come in through.
Yeah, they got to get rid of AP junglers here. They want to take away as much as possible, because you've already picked a solo lane here that is physical damage. So if your damage profile is going to be a little bit more singular, they want to make sure that they can try and get rid of as many options as possible here on the side of Lucky. Taking away, a huge focus on the top side. So Mirage, they're probably going to want to pick up a top laner here. Kennen is on the field. I'm trying to rummage through my mind really what they could want to pick here. I think the Jace is still something that would give them some priority. And Renekton, one of the bigger picks here in UPL, and also has seen so much play. Both of these guys are going to have healing reductions, so not going to be too much from Conqueror. I think press the attack for both of them would be actually really good.
Well, Lucky now have to lock in either their, or for sure their jungle pick, and then either their mid laner or support if that Lux ends up going into the hands of Always Plan Ahead. There's the Aesol Hover, and there's the lock-in! The Dragon is going to come in for Always Plan Ahead. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, this is his main, right? This is something that he has made his name on. The team he's going up against is a little bit difficult for him to try to deal with, and this is not the normal Aesol that we're used to, right? This is not the person who stands in the back line and is constantly rotating in between his stars. This is someone who has become a little bit more of a burst combo mage, where his stars come out really fast, slow down, and then come immediately back after 3 seconds. Ooh. And then Nocturne here, so we see a lot of physical damage coming out from Lucky, but with Nocturne you have really great ways, and for Mirage they're able to pick up this Akali, which was banned last game. So a lot of champions that actually kind of made it through pick ban are now finally starting to see the light of day. And we were talking about it last game, Robbie Bob on Akali can be an incredible thing to watch, depending on how it goes. And I think into Aurelion Sol, she's gonna have a little bit of a hard time, even with that even with the Twilight Shroud. Being able to get revealed by damage is just really tough to deal with the stars coming out, and just the amount of area that Aurelion can kind of cover with damage.
Early laning phase will definitely be a little bit of a hassle for Robbie Bob to deal with, and as we already seen, the prowess of Always Plan Ahead being able to match him in laning phase. But do not second guess Akali's main power spike in that Hextech Gunblade, and Robbie Bob could be the person to just fully take the handles of this game and drive it at his tempo and the pace that he wants to be able to play for the side of Mirage.
Yeah, I like this priority from both sides. They're trying to just get their bot lane out as soon as possible. I think for Lucky, you're not going to probably want to go for that Rakan just because of the Caitlyn Morgana on the opposite side. But this Lux is going to prove a problem here for Lucky. I think that this is a lot of poke that you're kind of trying to invest in. The Xayah-Caitlyn matchup, in my opinion, I think is very much Xayah favored. Caitlyn has to be very careful with her positioning, and with just how stationary she is most of the time, it becomes very difficult for her to try to avoid feathers, alongside having to deal with a lot of movement speed, right? We have Aurelia and Kled that are going to have immediate ways to just get onto the backline, and we all can't forget that Nocturne just immediately deletes someone depending on what it is or who he's targeting, but it's going to most likely be this Caitlyn or the Morgana. And again, Black Shield is what we're going to have to watch on both of these engages. Is the Black Shield going to come out on time and protect the Caitlyn, or really whoever? And honestly, I really want to see what happens with topside, because we saw Tony Top versus Bow Eater. Bow Eater just, kind of just stops everything, stops Tony Top from getting anywhere or getting any kind of leads, and he just kind of fades into irrelevancy. But now we see him on the Renekton. He has someone who's willing to 1v1 him on the Kled on the opposite side here for Lucky, and this is going to be kind of like a brawl here for top laner.
Yeah, it's not the Karma Top where it's like, all right, you don't get to really fight
You
me
don't
and
get
I
the
don't really
lane.
get to fight you. It's just we're both we're both getting out of laning phase unscathed here. It's no longer that agreement. Both of these players have locked in, as you said, brawlers, people, the fighters that want to scrap and trade aggressively forever and ever in this top lane. And honestly, it's going to come down to the jungle presence to be able to see who can influence the top side of the map first. And I'm really looking to Naba, really, who, if you don't recognize that name, Hayami was his former summoner name, who still was the jungler for Mirage Esports at the time after Hyper left. And last game on the Sejuani, I was not really particularly impressed. I understand that Sejuani does come a little bit later to come off online, but his lack of priority and his lack of agency around the map really let down the rest of his team to be able to snowball, especially considering that their game plan was more mid-game oriented. And if you're looking at the composition, Mirage once again has a mid-game oriented team composition. A lot of these champions spike off of that one item, either the Black Cleaver, the Spear Shoujin for Tony Top, and the Hextech Gunblade for Akali. And of course, Caitlyn does have some late game viability, but she really is all about rotating into the mid lane, taking the bot lane turret first, and then just trying to take down as much turrets as you can with that long range.
Yeah, I want to see from the side of Mirage, just focus bot lane, please. This is the game that I actually want them to go bot lane instead of top. Tony Top is more than likely just going to go for it. This is a really great side. When you take a look at Lucky Esports' team composition, this is a great matchup if you are going to go for that Spear of Shojin first instead of Black Cleaver. But Jarvan, not but really, please just gank this bot side. You have Caitlyn and you have Morgana. You have an amazing way to set up for dives. Set up on that level 3. Go and get that wave to start bouncing back, and as soon as you start to path towards bot side, have that wave bounce back and set up for a turret dive with a huge wave. That's what I want to see from Mirage, and just allow for this bot lane to start getting plates early, because then, like you were saying, if Caitlyn can rotate out of this lane after getting turret plates and getting that first turret bot side, it allows for Akali to then go sit in a side lane and just be this untouchable killing machine. As soon as Akali is able to get that Hextech Gunblade, you start to get a little bit more solo gold and XP onto her. It becomes very, very difficult to try and deal with her. And with the Twilight Shroud, and really no one on the side of Lucky can deal with a fed Akali, right? Not a lot of teams can in general, but you have an Aurelion Soul who's not going to have an amazing time trying to get away from her. And even Kled, you don't want to have to send Kled into Akali.
Absolutely. I mean, the Akali would be able to wipe the floor once he has the Gunblade. But just to reiterate this one more time, as I'm getting a beautiful stat in here from production. If we haven't stated it enough, Always Plan Ahead is an Aurelion Soul lover. He has played over 50 games of Aurelion Soul in the last 150 games of ranked. And he's played so almost a third of his playtime this season is just this dragon. So if you're ready to see some masterful, tactful performance on this champion, you're tuned into the right stream. And before we get into the game, we have I believe another sponsor shout out that we want to give here for Midwest Esports. And guys, if you don't know who they are, they've been around for many years, starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University. And since then, Midwest Esports has grown to be a veteran organizer to tournaments and events throughout the United States. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, as well as Overwatch. If you want any more information, please go ahead and check them out over at MidwestEsports.com. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will be taking a small break to get ready for Game 2 of the Rift. Don't tune away on that browser. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the rift now for game 2 between Mirage Esports and Lucky Esports. Just a reminder, Lucky Esports is up 1-0, so if they win this game, they will take the series, sweeping Mirage. But this is Mirage's game to win if they want to get back. But already we see a very cheeky level 1 play coming out from Mirage.
Yeah, if Tony Top can try to bait some of these team members over and try to, oh, wait a minute, even take a look at the side of Lucky, they're actually going to go for an invade all themselves. They should be seen. I don't think they're actually seen by turret there. So looks like they're going to try and go for some kind of cheeky level 1 here.
Yeah, it's
And if
very
they do,
similar
they're
to the.
really screwed because take a look at the positioning here. Zaya's nowhere to be found, and they could be setting up to try and go for this blue buff. Tony Top should see them, and they should be able to see the Renekton there.
But now, Lucky Esports, do they think that the rest of Mirage are in here, or do they just back
Oh
off and
my
let them
god.
walk out? It's going to be
Oh
very
no.
difficult here. Here comes the Lux Binding, but Dark Binding will land from I Will Find You. Always playing a hit on the Ace Soul is going to get first blood over to Robbie Bob. The mid lane difference is ready to come online if he can come to fruition. But meanwhile, the rest of the members from Mirage, they're falling low at the health bars in the hands of Lucky Esports. Tomo is going to pick up a kill.
Oh no.
Ken V2 flashing right on top, but not really. Cancels an auto attack, is not going to be able to get out alive. Robbie Bob picking up another kill. In fact, it was actually picked up by Cortez Borg 4. He fell at the hands of Lucky. What a woo clown. I don't even know what to
Honk
say.
honk, bro. That's all we gotta say.
Honk honk.
Man, they get a lot of really key summoners here. On the side of Lucky, right? You have Flash off of Nocturne. There's no longer an exhaust on the Aurelion Soul, so Robbie Bob is going to be looking to try and take some of these advantages, and Tomo gets 2 kills for himself. This is a 4-for-2 in favor of Lucky, and honestly, that was really, really sloppy right there. You don't have an amazing level 1 composition if you are on the side of Mirage, and you no longer have Ignite or Heal in your bot lane. And Robbie Bob doesn't have Flash, so if any gank comes in, you're waiting for that level 2 or for him to hit that level 3 with a Shuriken flip to really try to escape.
Despite always playing ahead, giving first blood over to Robbie Bob, he's still showing why he's a master at this champion on the Ace Soul, just doing a lot of burst damage.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, level 2 all in, once again achieved by the side of Lucky Esports. Gonna force the flash out of Cortiens, does not have heal, and Tomo's gonna be able to pick up the kill once again in this matchup.
Yeah, great job. And he forces out the flash. So now Cortiens is so far behind. This is exactly what we didn't want to see, where the Morgana and the Caitlyn get behind early, and then they can't get really back into this game. He has to go and start for the boots, which is something I really like when you're trying to go up against someone like the Lux, and specifically Xayah, where positioning is so important. But taking advantage of the fact that this bot lane is behind in terms of gold, in terms of health as well. And I love this from Tomo9. No longer is he kind of stuck on the Kai'Sa where you're kind of waiting until you get a couple more items, and really the Cathian Rain doesn't do a lot of damage, and now he's just flashing under turret to just try and get that kill onto him. 5-2, and we're already seeing an 800 gold lead. Or
This
1,000
man
gold
has
lead.
3 kills this early on in the game, as you said before.
BF sword. Oh
1,000
my god.
lead. He has the BF sword back on the first
3.5
recall. Oh man.
3.5 minute BF sword. That feels terrible. And you know, most of the time you're like, okay, well, she has BF sword, but not a lot of attack speed. She has both the W on her and the lethal tempo. So there's a lot of attack speed that is just built into the kit right now for the Xayah. So this is just so scary if you're on the side of Mirage. This early game has gone from bad to even worse.
Just like our solo queue games, Hulk Battery.
Not mine, buddy, just yours.
Come on, man.
I mean, look, there are still some key ways they can get back into this. Jarvan could start to look for a gank, although the Akali just backed and going to be looking for a TP back in. So Aurelion Soul could be something that they're looking for, but just going to look to try and clear some of his. And really the important part here is, when do these junglers both hit level 6? Because as soon as Nocturne hits level 6, he's going to snap cast that onto bot lane more than likely. And if not, mid lane should be the key, as Akali has a really hard time trying to get away from someone like the Nocturne early on. And when do the top laners get their first items? Because as soon as we hit level 6, Spear of Shojin is going to be very important for Tony Top. And when is he going to be able to finish that? Especially when he's not behind in CS, but there is at least some of the gold discrepancy from getting double assists here for Bow Eater. Ooh, Robbie Bob.
Woo! Now he has a couple points into that 5-point shuriken. He's doing a lot more damage, combining the Qs with the empowered auto attacks, getting a lot of trade harass on to always plan ahead as he's trying to push in this wave and get ready for his first roam of the match. Meanwhile, Ken V2 makes his way onto the mid lane and is able to get the spell shield to cancel out of the bit of the damage from Robbie Bob, but takes a turret shot in while kind of diving. Is going a little too far forward. It's got to be careful. It could have given a kill unintentionally over to Robbie.
Yeah, as soon as that shuriken flips come out, you're saying, all right, fine. You know, we're gonna take that. That's a little bit of an advantage. They are gonna spot out Kenvi going into this top side. So Jarvan has a little bit of a free time to try to pick where he wants to gank. But already doing really well for himself. Robbie Bobby, even with that disadvantage in mid lane, is showing, hey, you know, I'm the one with some of these kills here, and he already has the Hextech Revolver, or at least the yeah, he has the Hextech Revolver, which is just providing him so much extra damage on those auto attacks, both with the passive and obviously the Revolver passive here on Magic Bolt. So doing really well for himself. And we were saying last game that Robbie Bob was one of the reasons that they were even still staying in this game for on the side of Mirage, right? So him getting off to an early lead, he's able to get the level 6 first. I need this guy. Mirage needs this guy to really start to try to pop off and find success in this lane, because otherwise, Tomo is really doing really well for himself against Courtiens.
And the other reason too that we needed Mirage, or one of the other factors we needed for Mirage to be able to do well here, is the agency from Namba. Really, he is on the Jarvan, so he should have been able to make
Wait a
things
minute.
happen
Oh,
faster.
no.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, Tomo trading a lot of damage, lands on the trap, but Courtiens, does he have the damage to be able to back up against the BF Sword Zaya? I mean, you see right there the trade difference is that despite landing almost everything from the side of the Caitlyn, he still doesn't match up to the damage from Tomo. Now he's going to go back in, dodges the Dark Binding, gets
There
one
it
more on
is.
attack, and there it is, going to be going down, and I will find you, the 4th kill of the game for the Zaya.
Yeah, and the important part is take a look at some of the summoner spells. They already use the Ignite from I Will Find You, and the heal basically was just cast on cooldown here. So already Courtiens is just suffering under the pressure from Tomo and Ugandan Royalty, the amount of success that they found early game here. Now, kind of the pivot here, where has Nabant really been? Because honestly, this Jarvan has not shown up in this game. He's kind of just farming it out. Maybe if he had picked a Karthus, we'd be saying, all right, fine, this is exactly what we want to see. Farm it out, try to just get back into a state where you can utilize that ultimate, get that Requiem, and start getting a lot of AP under your belt. But he has this Jarvan. You have this tank engage that hasn't found anything. Top side is starting to fall. Tony Top is in a level deficit against Bow Eater. And while the trades haven't been going incredibly even, Bow Eater is still finding ways to try and find an advantage up here. And this wave is starting to stack and should be looking to bounce on this next one. So with this path topside, hopefully we see this Jarvan head top, but we need him to find some kind of success because bot lane is almost too far gone at this point. We have a Zaya who's Coalfield and the BF sword already. Bow Eater, you're going pretty far with the jousting there.
If he had landed that bear trap on the rope, we might have potentially seen a flash burn from Tony Top, but unfortunately was not able to lock him down for that extra bit of damage as he was whacking him with the
Dragon
violent tendencies. But as you mentioned, Dragon is being started up by the side of Lucky Esports. Both top laners have their teleports, but they're fairly low on their health bars, and only Bow Eater has the ultimate in the charge to be able to assist. But priority for mid lane, once again, as Robbie Bob had backed, they're going to be able to secure the Infernal Dragon. That's just going to be great for scaling composition in the likes of Tomo on the Zaya.
Trying to use the charge just to try and get off of trying to just get away from him because Tony Top does have kill pressure in that lane now. Ultimate is coming up, so potentially looking for a dive. He's just going to go for a reset here and for a back. And so far, everyone on the side of Lucky has been doing really, really well for themselves. They're able to get that early Infernal Drake and just start to get the lineup. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh my God. Well, Tomo's now 5-0 on this Zaya, and he's putting down the hurt onto Courtiens. Flash is going to come out. Oh, but what a turnaround from Core is going to able to get to the ultimate off and snipes down Tomo and picks up the bounty as well.
Ugandan Royalty. Wait, we need to see this engage topside, Ken.
Oh, Nocturnal ulti comes in. Kenvi 2 is able to turn the tides of battle right before anything bad were to happen to his top laner. But meanwhile, there's just action all over the freaking map here, Og Bounty. Nabot really finally making his presence felt and takes down the support.
Yeah, they need to be able to equalize this bot side, and that was really aggressive coming out from Tomo. He uses the Feather Storm, and it looks like they're already going to go for a rotate here. This is really dangerous as now you've left alone the jungle to try to get some turret plates down here. Tomo going for a really aggressive TP here. This could end very terribly with his flash up.
Tomo's right here along with Bow Eater, but they don't have charge. Tomo's just flashing right onto Courtiens.
There it is.
Is able to take him down, but at what cost? He does fall to Napa. Really, Tony Top is also teleported into the fray. Learns the flash from Bow Eater, and he will make it out safely. Always plan ahead, and the rest of the members here, apart from Kenvi 2, are here on the bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, the jungler is trying to start up this Rift Herald.
Yeah, this is Yeah, this is an all-out brawl. We saw multiple TPs come out. Not only were Tomo and Bow Eater the ones to try and come down bot side, Tony comes in and really Robbie Bob's like, "Hey guys, I'm just gonna sit mid here," and he is able to stop this Rift Herald take. This needs to be very careful because as soon as it hits 2,000, if the eye reopens, that is a lot of free damage. Perfect
Oh,
execution.
wait, Robbie Bob
Oh no.
trying to get into the thick of the fray. I'm not sure who
Oh.
was able to take down the Rift Herald. Robbie Bob still critically low and just dashes right into the thickness of always plan ahead. Is going to give him a kill. And Naba really is not going to be able to make it out alive. And I believe the Rift Herald token was picked up by Naba really. So even though he does go down with his life, he's able to take away the objective.
Yeah, Ken, I don't know what you're doing, buddy, but blowing flash and smiting at 1400 health on a Rift Herald is definitely not the play here. He ends up going, losing his life, or he doesn't end up dying there, but you end up giving away this Rift Herald, which is a huge way to continue to snowball your lead. Yes, your bot lane is doing well for themselves. Yes, you've already completed your BF item for your AD carry, but you need to continue snowballing that lead. You need to get Aurelion Soul to start getting into that point. So now for but really, this is a way for them to start kind of getting back into that, right? We saw the kill gold go back onto Cortien's. He is still down 900 gold, but if they are able to get plates and specifically rotate into top side or even mid lane and get Caitlyn 2, 3, even 4 plates, you're going to start to see that, hey, some of the itemization and some of the difference between these two are going to start to close.
Tony Top once again trying to get the burn damage down on the Bow Eater.
Oh
Forces the
no.
charge out, but it stops him in his tracks. Bow Eater will be able to limp away with his life, but he's going to have to force this recall as Tony Top now looking for the pressure with Naba really in the wings, potentially looking for a dive as they're going to just start up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and there we go. We're going to just start shoving a lot more of this gold into Tony Top. I love this decision coming out from the side of... Wait, might even just be a return here.
Oh, can V2 pop in the paranoia? Dashes right onto Tony Top. He's going to be able to slice and dice away to safety as the Rift Herald will not take down first brick quite yet, but does leave it open for potentially Mirage to take down on the next push.
I'll take 3 plates any time of the day. Yes, you do split them between your top and jungle, but he needs to get Spear of Shojin as quick as possible. I think he might actually just be going for that for the Black Cleaver, which I'm not a huge fan of, especially because there's not a lot of tanks and not a lot of people who are going to be building armor. And Spear of Shojin, especially against, like we've seen already, you can take it to Kled. He has been showing against Bow Eater that he can go for those 1v1s and really start to pressure him. So I think that once you get this gold, you should be looking for that itemization. But we already see, I love these rotations coming out from Lucky. They've been really on top of making sure that Tomo and Ugandan Royalty are at the right place at the right time. We saw it a little bit at the beginning of game 1 there with Morgana roaming and getting that first blood onto Robbie Bob. But so far, they have just been moving this bot side pretty immaculately.
You can see the vision control that's being fought over on the bottom side of the map as well. A dragon should be coming up as the Inferno Dragon just spawns. It's going to be something that is point of contention, but Uganda Roller taking a lot of damage, but is able to answer back right on the Tony Top, forcing the flash. The exhaust has come out, and right now, Lucky Esports looking for the priority.
Watch
over this Infernal Dragon, but Robbie Bob is looking for the flank, potentially on the backside. They're not going to be able to prepare for him as Naba really is going to take a lot of damage from Bow Eaters. He dives into the heart of the backline, but where is Robbie Bob? He's on the flank, and he takes down a soul, but now he's burning to a crisp with the Ignite. Can he get enough damage to be able to go back in on the Chem V2? It's not going to be in his favor as he goes down to Uganda Royalty. A double kill for both the support and the top laner, and they're going to be able to pick up the dragon.
Yeah, and Bow Eater doing an amazing job just holding off the backline and 1v2ing against Naba really and Tony Top sitting back there. Tomo trying to get feathers.
Oh, the feather storm, even though it doesn't land the root, it does force Cortiens away from the safety of that turret and allows them to pick up the kill.
Yeah, and now they're all going to rotate for this mid turret, start to take a lot of damage. This is a pretty nice way for them. Morgana should be able to clear it, but Demolish is going to start to break down these turrets. And the thing is, if you're on the side of Mirage, you're thinking to yourself, you see 16-6, you're like, okay, this is getting very, very scary. We're probably down closer to 10k, or it's starting to feel like that. But take a look at this. It's 16-6, and we're only down 4,000 gold. Now, a lot of this can be attributed to some of the level leads that we see, right? Almost every player on the side of Lucky has a level lead, except for the jungle and support. But that's exactly where you want them, right? You want to have that level lead. And while Robbie Bob is able to find a single kill for himself, he's not able to find much more out of that. And really, it was just great team fighting coming out from the side of Lucky.
Yeah, we're not quite at the item power spikes for every single member on the side of Mirage Esports. Still waiting on that Black Cleaver to come into play for Tony Top. Once then, maybe you can start trying to find these fights again. But the big concern is here is by the time you get to that point, is Tomo going to have completed his second item, maybe second and a half items, because he is 2,000 gold above Cortians right now in the game. Huge 80 carry gap going on for Lucky Esports, thanks to all of the kills that happened from that early level
Oh.
1 brawl, as well as the bot lane shuffles.
I don't think they saw Ken in topside, so could be looking for a sneak around. That is also the ace in the hole coming out from Cortians to try and get poke onto Tomo. They should just be able to hold this mid lane. And the real problem here is now Bow Eater has pushed in topside, and this just means there's so much free pressure here. Looking for potential engage onto mid lane.
Paranoia is going to come down onto Cortians. The flash comes out. There is the Lux ultimate as well. The final spark trying to do some damage. And
Oh,
Nader's
yeah.
always plan ahead. He's got the stars and he's got the Fuss Roda to pick himself up a double kill.
Yeah, that's 3 kills for nothing. And Lucky now should be able to move right into this. And one of the great things is this is one of the products that came out of taking away that first tier 1 in mid lane. Bow Eater is able to move through the river after pushing in topside, and we see the charge come in to try and route them from behind. And great job from the side of Lucky. They're able to pick up another kill, should be able to get this turret. And now with mid-tier 2 down, these side lanes are incredibly dangerous to try and stay in. You're looking at potential dives, and while the waves aren't necessarily in a place to look for it, they could potentially look for trying to take away this bot side. Staying in jungle is so dangerous because now, if they do want to go for dives, you can just come up right behind the turret and set up vision. And they've already taken away the bot side of the quadrant to try and start to set up potentially to push into that top side and start prepping for the 20-minute Baron here.
Things are just looking more grim and grim for the side of Mirage Esports. Their primary win condition in Robbie Bob being able to pop off in this mid game needs to happen sometime soon. He has had the Hextech Gunblade for the past couple of minutes, but he's been splitting on the other side of the map, not able to really make an impact quite yet, as there's just this giant problem in Tomo being incredibly fed on this Xayah. Now has the rapid fire cannon in her back pocket. It's going to have that extra long auto to be able to start chunking people down from a safe distance and always plan ahead once again. I mean, we said it before on the Talia, but this time now on his main champion, the Aurelion Soul, we have to note that the Rylai's Crystal Scepter is the first item here, and even though it doesn't give any cooldown reduction or mana, he has not had any issues with it. And Bow Eater might have been caught out. Soul Shackles right into the trap. Knockup comes out, but Bow Eater might be able to get out alive. But Robbie Bob flashes or dashes over the wall with the perfect execution. Does get the shutdown onto the Kled, and KenV2 can't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah, they're able to get a kill here, but what are they getting from this? They're not able to push into topside. Ult.
Oh, Paranoia trying to turn around on its head onto Mirage Esports. Final Spark doesn't really hit anyone. The Cataclysm is great from Na, but really to disengage the fight.
Yeah, and they're not getting anything from this. We see that Aurelion Soul is pushing down bot side. They're just fighting for the sake of fighting, trying to find kills, trying to find ways back into this game. The binding comes out, but one of the problems we were looking at in this draft is that we didn't get to touch on really is take a look at who's on the side of Mirage. You have melee top laner, melee jungle, and the only range you have is in this bot side. So sieging becomes incredibly difficult, and now Tomo should be able to put down some damage. Oh, no, Morgana.
KenV2 might have been caught out, but a teleport is coming in from, I believe, Bow Eater, and they're turning the fight on its head once again. Core falling at the hands of Tomo, and then, of course, Nabot really, and I will find you also going down. 3 for nothing. This turret is free on the top side of the map.
Yeah, another 3 kills here, and even more turrets are going to fall. They're taking away some of this top side. Mid is pushing in, and look at these waves that are just freely crashing amongst the map for Mirage. Lucky is just pushing every single lane in, and Mirage, they have a lot of free gold potentially being given to them, but they're not taking it because they're constantly looking for fights. What is Bow Eater even doing here?
Oh, he's on the backside, and he flashes right into the stun! Not even needing the voice of light. The final spark is going to be the clip in the hangar, and KenV2, KenV might have found Robbie Bob when he wasn't intending to. He was just trying to start up the dragon, and Robbie Bob's going to be able to take him down. Teleport is answering from, I believe it was Tomo.
Yeah.
Does Tomo really want to fight against Robbie Bob? He doesn't have perfect execution, and both just decide to part paths here.
Yeah, and take a look at the gold here, right? The person with the most gold really is just Robbie Bob. He's picking, and here comes Joust. Oh, just off
He's
cooldown.
fine. He's fine. He's walking right out.
That's one way to describe it. But Ken going down is 800 gold. Robbie Bob is finding kills across the map, and they're not able to capitalize off of this, right? You have an Akali who's 8,000 gold, really the only person in contention against the side of Lucky Esports here, as Zaya's already crested 10,000. She's 4,000 gold ahead of her lane opposition. Robbie Bob looking for another kill here.
He's going to go in for the all-in. The exhaust comes out, might reduce the damage reduction, but he flashes, but the stopwatch comes out from Always Plan Ahead, is able to dodge the last bit of a perfect execution. The 1v1 goes over to Always Plan Ahead. He shows why he's the solo master.
Even with exhaust, Robbie Bob is almost able to outplay, but the stopwatch comes out. Robbie Bob is just barely flashes and just goes right into turret, takes a turret shot, and ends up going down. And really, that is kind of the nail in the coffin here for the side of Mirage. Their most fed player being taken down by their opposite member on the side of Lucky. Now, double Infernal, not looking too hot. You have a Dragon that is an Ocean Drake that's spawning, so not even a combat offensive Drake. Maybe even something like Cloud might even help in this situation if they were able to pick it up on the side of Mirage. They need to just slow down this game so much. Like, the amount of slowing down, you need to basically pump every single break, maybe +1 on that one, right? And the thing is, they don't have amazing wave clear. You have Morgana and Caitlyn that provide some. Renekton and Akali can only do so much, and you have this team that has such great ways to try and push in these waves. You have Aurelion Sol, you've got Nocturne, and you've got this Lux Zaya that just shove out waves permanently. It becomes very difficult for them to try and deal with this. So already, some of the draft errors that we were seeing from game 1 are trying to come into game 2, and where it is not looking amazing. We're already at 10,000 gold lead here for the side of Lucky, and it's only 22 minutes.
I mean, we said it before in draft phase, right? With the composition that the side of Mirage Esports had drafted was more mid-game centric. And even though Nabot really has found out Bow Eater, it's just delaying.
Is it worth
him
it?
from getting it. It's not going to be worth it because there's on the Baron pit, Gun and Royalty, even sniping out, I will find you. Paranoia has come out just trying to delay Bow Eater's death for more time onto the Baron. They do take it, and Bow Eater, his death is just an honorable cause here.
Yeah, I mean, Bow Eater going down is not the correct play, obviously. This is someone that's been on the sideline, and you need him, especially since you just took the Baron. Him getting caught out is not what you need if you're on the side of Lucky, but they're just finding kills, and they're not able to get anything off of it because of how the waves are shoved. They can't go and try to push out the mini waves to start to threaten for at least a single turret. And while we're 9 kills in, I mean, we are a little bit far from a perfect game, but if we just ignore kills, we just ignore the kills, this is looking like a perfect game coming out from the side of Lucky Esports.
Notice how Robbie Bob has just been waiting in the same bush for the past 30 seconds. It seemed like he's waiting potentially for a pick on Tomo, but he still has Featherstorm. He doesn't have sums to be able to dodge anything more, but could be an opportunity for Robbie Bob to strike.
No,
as Featherstorm is burned, and Robbie Bob still hasn't shown his face. He's just waiting so patiently in this bush.
Yeah, and I love this from Bow Eater. He's able just to sit here, and now they are going to be pushed into a pretty awkward position.
Final Spark comes out. The chunk damage comes out on the core TNs of Bow Eater once again, diving into the heart of the backline of Mirage Esports. Nabot really trying to use the Cataclysm to lock them all down for the kills, but Tomo is just ripping through every single member. And Ugandan royalty of being able to lock down and will find you as he flash soul shackles in, but to no avail. It's the full 5-man ace, and it's going to be the 2-0 sweep for the side of Lucky Esports.
Yeah, they still have Baron. The mini wave is just now getting here, and that was an absolutely perfect fight coming out from Lucky. Mirage Esports, they're not able to find the win there, and really one of the bigger points was the Black Shield came out so early, and Morgana's Black Shield just gets completely torn to shreds when always ahead of the plan ahead, and the Lux ult come out and just immediately evaporate it. They're trying to find some kills. They're trying to be a little bit cheeky, but this should just be the Nexus going down. 30-9 in a 24.5-minute game. 15,000 gold up, and Lucky Esports going 3-0 in the Ocean Division, really just showing up. And honestly, that was not even, a close series by any means. Game 1 and Game 2 were just completely one-sided in favor of Lucky Esports.
Absolutely incredible stuff from the side of this squad here. And, going into this matchup, we honestly didn't think is going to be this one-sided. Game 1 definitely was a lot more close, but Game two, what a massive stomp from the side of Lucky. Just being able to, and honestly, it did spiral out of control from that first level one
Yeah.
all out skirmish and brawl or whatever you want to call what the hell was going on in that topside river. But from there, Tomo benefited greatly from having the first two early kills, was able to exact the lane pressure off of that level two all in before. And once again, that was something that Core and I Will Find You had just run into in terms of messing up on in game one as well. They didn't die at that time, but this time he paid for his life.
Yeah, and I we were kind of talking about like mid lane maybe is going to be the matchup. It actually I think was pretty even though Robbie Bob did get taken advantage of in both games. I think he had a pretty stellar game 2 there, and even in game 1, he did really his best. I think he could with the situation. Where was top and jungle this whole game? I mean,
Mm.
Cortians did as well as he could in that first game and second game. It's really hard to do anything when the Zaya is given 2 kills at the beginning of the game on a level 1 that was incredibly sloppy from both sides. What are you supposed to do when really Tony Top, someone who's been the talk of the town, really just has no resources kind of devoted to him. Even in gold, take a look at this. No one on the side of Mirage is above even 9,000, and Robbie is really the person that's kind of just leading this. And the lowest member, Ugandan royalty in terms of gold is almost at that point. The amount of gold that was just given over in game 2 was absolutely insane, and, really just Tony Top needs those resources. This is a guy that has so much potential, and I think with the rest of this squad, you have you have a really strong top side, your bot lane is able to go even, and your mid laner is, really, really impressive, but Naba really just kinda didn't show up and really didn't play to at least some kind of win condition here with the Renekton.
I will have to say that the Mirage Esports, for those that have been following the squad ever since their birth back in the early spring of this year, the roster has changed up quite a bit. It's no longer Heike Savage in the mid lane or Lawrence in the top lane or even Hyper in the jungle, as they have all gone their separate ways to different teams. And the players that have come into this roster, all fantastic on an individual level, but at least in this series, maybe it was different in the prior 2 weeks against their other opponents that they took on, but this week it just seemed like communication, synergy, something was just off. Where you were absolutely right. Jungle from Nabad really just was not present at all. We expected that if you're going to draft this mid game composition, you want to start fast and loose. You want to make an impact before Nocturne even hits level 6. And the first gank that we saw from this game was from Nocturne at level 4 mid lane. Yeah, it didn't really result in much, but the fact that he made an effort to make some presence known on the map just speaks volumes about what Naba really's choices are during his jungle pathing in the early game.
I think they just kind of really fumbled the draft in game 1. Had a really weird way to how they wanted to try and get into this, and you don't even play to your top side with a Sejuani and a Kled. You have such clear melee matchup there where you can immediately stack that permafrost. We saw almost no assistance there, and in this game, bot side has already gone to pot. Really, top side's your only kind of saving grace at this point. Even mid lane really was just unimpressive stuff.
Well, maybe this could be a wake up call for Mirage Esports, as it is still somewhat early into the season. They still have a few more weeks to be able to clean up and get those wins if they want to be still contenders. As we imagined that Mirage Esports was going to be one of the for sure guarantees into the knockoff bracket, but or the playoffs brackets, I should say. But if they play like this, it's
It's 1 week. They've been doing really well. We can kind of chalk this up to saying, hey, it's only one series. Maybe this gets better. Maybe this is some way for them to improve. As if you are winning a lot, it is typically a little bit harder to try and find ways you can improve. But moving on, I kind of want to try to choose our MVP here. I think it's pretty clear who it was. But there are a lot of silent candidates here, right? Um,
we're talking about series though, right? Not just
yeah.
this game. Yeah, if it's this series, then it's definitely got to be always plan ahead for me. That the amount of damage and presence he had on the map in both games on this ASOL. I mean, I maybe you're gonna say Tomo because he definitely popped off this second game. In the first game, it wasn't really that much about him. He was a late game insurance policy. That's just my argument.
Mhm. Yeah, I think Always Plan Ahead had really great games, even in that first counter matchup. And honestly, game two, getting your main, probably not as respectful as you could have been. Definitely, I think Ken was really trying to play around some of the other lanes, and Always Plan Ahead just constantly was finding advantages, even in some of those 1v1s we were talking about in game one was just absolutely just really fun to watch. And while game one wasn't super spicy from Tomo, game two was just pretty insane. But yeah, I'd have to probably just give it to Always Plan Ahead.
All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be closing it off for the night. Lucky Esports are your winner here for week 3. We will be continuing with normal Upsurge broadcast for the rest of the week. But as of always, ladies and gentlemen, please continue supporting us here over at Upsurge Esports, and we'll see you next time.